the pack to the Cardinals. These guys have had a fantastic start to this season, and they are firing in a lot of areas. Really competitive on both sides of the football and special teams. You can see why they've been winning, and they've gone through a little bit of the quarterback thing. So and it sounds like we have to be ready for both QBs. Could be Kyler, could be Colt. Fortunately, we've seen plenty of Kyler, and we've seen enough of Colt to know how they're running the offense when he's there. So we prepare for both those. I know you guys always ask that question. We got to play some good ball. We're going to have to play really good football to have a chance to be with these guys, because they really can have the firepower. They run the ball a lot. They have a nice perimeter game that they work, and then they're playing good D. So it's a good matchup, good challenge, and we need a challenge. If we're going to do something, we got to get it rolling, and we got to get rolling against good teams, and this is what we're getting. So I'm looking forward to this.
You mentioned Murray. Just what have you seen out of him in his third season? It seems like he's made some strides.
Well, he has definitely just continued to clean stuff up. He's completing 73% of his passes. That's hard to do that this late in the year. He's really decisive. Seems really in control of what they're doing. They do a ton of stuff each week. They give you new game plans every week, and he manages all of that. He's not running a whole lot. He runs when he gets the opportunity, but they're not forcing the issue for him to run the football. They're just doing it really, really well, and he makes it a very dangerous team to deal with.
They've only given up 19 pass plays of 20-plus yards this year on defense. What have you seen from that secondary, and how Vance Joseph's deploying them?
Yeah, it's a really good group. They're both safeties and led by Buddha. Baker's a really, really fine football player. Does a great job in the hole and just keeping guys in front of him, making plays. Their corners, 3 corners play well for them, and so they're strong in nickel. Murphy's doing a really nice job. Wilson's doing a good job. They just have a good group, and so they're playing really consistent football.
Is there an update on Chris Carson?
He won't practice today. That's the update I got.
On the other couple of injuries, Dwayne Brown and Ryan Neal.
Yeah, Dwayne seems to have come out of the weekend pretty good and well, and let me say it that way. He came out of it well, and we'll see. We'll go day to day with him, but he went through the walkthrough today, which is really encouraging. And then the other one was, Ryan's practicing today, so we're in good shape there.
You mentioned on Monday wanting to run the ball more. Given the fact that there were 40 pass plays, what's the number? I don't know. I guess even if you could put a number on that, because it varies from game to game. But what is the number of run plays you would like to see?
There's not a number. It just depends on the game and how it goes. There's not a specific number. But when you're running the ball really well, you're running it in the high 20s and around 30. And that's and then when you really go for it, you do like the Niners did. They ran it 42 times. That's off the charts to the positive. But yeah, we just need to run it just to mix our game and balance it out more. So in a game that's as tight as that, we didn't need to do anything but just keep controlling the football. And I wish we could have done that better in that game.
He's not. I know he usually gets a day off. Is Dwayne going today?
No.
Did Chris have any sort of setback in the past week in terms of trying to come back?
What I would say is we didn't make the positive progress that we had hoped. We're still working with it. So I just don't. I don't have a good update for you. If you don't mind, just gotta wait another couple of days. And we'll have more. But he didn't make the positive process forward that we wanted. So we just have to wait.
Coach, how would you assess Shane's play calling? Is there any truth to the thought that he's a first-time play caller and he's having some struggles here, trying to figure things out, or how would you assess?
Well, just let's just look what's happened. We had Russ was playing, and then he left in the Rams game, and then we had to bounce back with G, and which he did a nice job, and we altered what we were doing just to make sure that we gave ourselves a chance to win. And so then we come back at the Packers and Russ's first game back. I think we need to settle everything down and get back to the ball that we liked earlier in the year, and when we thought we started to get things rolling. So, but it's been tumultuous in that regard, So I think that also not having Chris, where we were really leaning on Chris, had made a difference to us too, so those are just the situations he's had to deal with. It ain't been easy, and so I'm looking forward. We got 8 weeks to do something here and see where we wind up after that, and we need to make progress.
How do you feel about your overall running back group? I mean, without Chris, if maybe Chris is still.
Well, I like our group. It's been a really competitive group and all that. And unfortunately, Alex has been hampered a little bit by a groin thing for the last few weeks, so he hasn't been 100%. But he's still playing and getting through there. He's done a nice job. He's averaging nice per carries, and he's doing good with the work we're getting. And we need to get him more. But I'm anxious to see us mix our guys a little bit more, and more runs will allow us to do that. I think. Alex had 10 carries in the game, and so everything was really cut back. So that's not enough to really get our guys working. But Homer's got some style to him. DJ does a nice job in a number of areas, and we need Rashad to come to life. And so this is an important time for Rashad to help us.
Without knowing how many different runs are in Shane's offense, how does it change without Chris in there, or if Alex is hurt, the types of runs that get called?
It's not so much that, although we are. You notice that we are mixing to get the ball in the perimeter some with our guys. We do that to try to gain an edge. I just think it's going to look better than it's looked, and we need it to, and that'll be part of the turnaround.
You mentioned their run game. How critical of an addition has James Conner been? Because it seems like he's brought a different physical edge.
Yeah, he looks really good. He looks like the best we've seen him in the last couple of years. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the uniforms or what. He's just done really well. He's been really active up inside. He's an inside tough runner, but he's done well on the perimeter too with some screens and things like that, getting the ball out on the edge. He's got 11 touchdowns. So they're really going to him. he's a real stud of a guy. And fortunately for them that they have a guy like that, and they're really excited about it. You can tell by the way they give him the football. So he's doing a really nice job.
How do you balance when to just let Shane do his thing or when to jump in and give your input?
We're working all the time. We're the whole staff. We're working all the time to put it together, and that's how we do it.
You've talked about your cornerbacks for a couple weeks now being part of the overall defensive improvement. Just now that you've had that tandem together, I think it's been 3 or 4 games. What do you like about those two?
They're both really aggressive. They both go for it and take their shots when they get opportunities. They both are really good at the point of attack at the ball. They both make plays at the ball. They've been physical to make their plays. They've tackled well. They're really just playing really good all-around ball. And of course, that wouldn't matter if they weren't staying on top, and we've been able to do that outside. We had the one play last week, unfortunately, we slip and don't get going, so we don't, that's the one play that gets away on those guys. But, stuff like that can happen. But I just think in general they're just doing a really good job, and there's no reason to think that we're not going to continue to get that kind of play out of them.
It takes something special for a rookie in particular at that position where you're so isolated and exposed out there.
Yeah, it does, And, we watched a guy last week too, Eric Stokes, who was one of the highest rated guys in the draft, continue to play good football, It's a lot to ask those guys to do that. And I think they have to have a real confidence about them, and hopefully they had a good background too, which we really see that in Trey. And his coaching background has really made him a really sound football player. And then they make it through a few games and without really getting behind the 8 ball, and when they're going after him and they're making plays on him, and it would challenge their confidence. If they can get going, then I think they can accelerate, and I think that's what we're seeing in Trey. He's doing a really nice job. He's feeling confident. He's playing like he's played the whole time since we've seen him, and it really hasn't. His game hasn't altered at all. And so that's a real positive, because if you remember, I keep talking about him way back when. I always liked everything we were seeing from him, and he had a couple of really nice challenges in the game, a couple of big plays too.
Just kind of piggybacking off that, your safety play, how are you seeing those two work together these last few games?
Well, they're really good. They're really good. Jamal probably had his best game in a while, and most active, and I don't know, he had 11 tackles or something like that, some big plays and a pick, and he did everything well. He did everything in the game plan well. He did a really nice job. Pressured well too, and just did all that stuff. So. I just think the two of them they're impacting players in the game. You can feel them. They make things happen. You see the hits that Diggsy had and another breakup that he was part of. They make things happen, and that's what you're hoping your safeties play like.
Trey, there's been a few plays where he just looks really decisive, like the Trey Brown.
Yeah.
The play in Pittsburgh overtime and then the 4th down play. What goes into what does it take to make a play like that?
Well, he's like I said, he's got a little of that instinct in him to go for it, and he's not cautious about stuff. He's smart and he's technique sound, and when he gets the opportunity, he's willing to take a shot, and that's the next level of play when guys can go out there and play right and do things right, but it's their mentality, and DJ's like that also. They share that same kind of mentality, and I don't want to single it out this way, but that's what I'm looking for in smaller guys, the guys that play a little bit under the profile. They've got to be those kinds of players, in my opinion, and those guys are both that. And so we're fortunate that they're doing it right now.
Why do they have to be that way?
I think to make up for maybe the size difference that they could get mismatched, they've got to be able to overcome that. And these guys can do that. They can make the play. They go for it at the right time, and they're physical to make the breakups, where other guys might not be, and I just think it's kind of just the package that they have to present.
You mentioned the 49ers game Monday night. What specifically did the 49ers do with the run game that made them so successful?
They ran it 40-something times in the game, They were really committed to not letting the Rams pass rush, I think as much as anything. And, they're all fired up about the pass rush, and comes the new guys and all that kind of stuff, and they didn't give him much of a chance. I think he threw like 18 times or 19 times in the game or something like that, So that was just the way that they felt. They've had a good feel for playing the Rams. They've been beating the Rams, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to Kyle and the staff. That's a really good Rams team, and they had a big-time game against them on really all phases, but the running game was what stood out.
We heard some frustration from guys leaving Green Bay. What's the mood? What's the vibe of this team right now?
We're back at work. We're back at it. I think we're on the same page and what needs to be done. And so we're not backing off in any way or taking any sideways steps. We're going.
It's easy for outsiders to see urgency in the record. There's only so many games left. Is there any of that inside the building?
What? Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, you think we're just rolling through this thing, Greg? Come on. I mean, there's a sense of urgency that's always here, I think. I mean, we're always trying to create that and making sure that's present. But you can't help but feel that we want to get this done. We don't have any time and there's no leeway in here. We got to go, and I think that's probably what defines urgency.
Did Russell, with his finger, did he make it through physically fine the game?
He did. He feels fine. Yeah, he threw the ball really well and walked through today. So he's after that whole week, the first really full week, he came out of it in good shape. So he's moving on. He's still taking care of himself as he's progressing because this is only week 6. So, but he felt really, really good about it.
Monday, you mentioned Jordan Brooks and needing to sniff out those screenplays a little bit more. Is that a recognition thing or an experience thing? And KJ set the bar so high with that, but he'd also seen so much football, and I'm wondering if that's something you train early or it just comes more natural.
Yeah, I would say that there's probably been players that might have a knack for because of their upbringing and their exposure and all that. KJ always was a little bit ahead of everybody in terms of awareness and all that. But this is just something, it's experience. He just needs to see a couple more. He needs to feel the pain of it. We got beaten a couple times and stuff, and then we could play better. And there's a good example of the sense of urgency that Greg was talking about that he feels, and he's been made to feel that. We need him to play those plays better when he has his opportunity. He's not the only one. D linemen get a chance to feel that. The outside backers and the safeties get a chance to feel those plays too. You'll see Bobby sometimes he's in the backfield on those plays, because he can sense the flush of the play, and so we just have to do a better job of it.
With Russ, he used a term, he called himself a fixer after the game. Just how have you seen him over his career when there's an issue, how he addresses it and tackles that challenge?
Well, I pretty much always have said that when something pops up, he goes after it. He doesn't let things float and maybe defer to a later date. He goes right after stuff, and he wants to know what he needs to do, and he's got a real. I think he's got a good record of fixing things when he needs to and all of that. So I've always counted on him to be like that.
You guys aren't a team that's blitzing very much, but at the same time, defensive line's not getting a ton of pressure right now either. At what point do you stop, relying on just 4 or 5 guys and just start blitzing a bit more?
At what time we do that? At the exact right time, I hope.
Why hasn't the pressure been there from the defensive line this far in the season?
We played our big guys a lot inside, and we need we need to complement the rush with our guys, our inside rush as well as the outside guys. And we've been playing really solid football for a long time with with Monet and Al and Puna, and they've been doing a really good job of being really consistent. We've been consistent for some time now, and that's part of the consistency. It doesn't necessarily add to the pass rush, because those are three guys that play a lot of nose tackle in their history, but they have given us what we need, in terms of the running game. So the complement of it is we need our guys on the edges to help us out, and that's why the coverage is really important to give us a second shot, so.
What led to LJ being active over Kim
He deserved it, by the way he's worked. He's had good weeks back to back to back, and he needed a chance to get out there and play. Deserved it. He did fine. Yeah, he did fine. We look forward to him playing this week too, hopefully.
How much of the turnarounds that your defenses have made in the past couple of years just a product of defenses across the league kind of figuring things out at this point?
I don't know. I'm a little buried to be speaking for somebody else right now, but the offenses have started fast. They've come out smoking out of the off season. If I was going to guess, I would say it's a product of the off season. It's the lack of time that you get to work and the lack of the good quality work that you can do and all that. The defense is coming on. So I think it's always been thought about the defense is always ahead of the offense. I don't think that's the case, because the tempo of the offseason, really can. It's okay for the offensive guys. They can get a ton done when the defense needs to react to full speed stuff and physical stuff, and I don't know. It just feels like that's kind of been the case. I don't know if that's it or not.
Ken has said before that growing up as the son of a boxer and living through the ups and downs of his dad's boxing career helped prepare him for the scrutiny that comes with being a coordinator. I'm curious, from your view, when things have not gone well for your defense in recent seasons, how has he handled that scrutiny?
And just like he just told you, yeah, he's tough as nails, and he's got a really deep belief in himself and his ability to get things done and to communicate and all that, and which he's shown. He's shown that by the product of the way these guys have been able to hang in there and hang tough and come back and make something special out of a group that at one time would have been thought couldn't happen. And Kenny is a fighter, and he's lived that life with his pops, and he took a lot from that, and it's part of his makeup. It's part of who he is and what he's all about, and he never really strays very far from that. So, okay.
Anything else, guys?
What's up, everybody? This is a portion where I start off with something, and I chose another book. I chose The Alchemist. I was going to say the guy's name. I'm pretty sure I'm going to mess it up. I think it's Paulo. Say the last name? Yep, what he said. The reason why I chose this book, I don't know if it was my favorite book, but it definitely was my most impactful book. I thought I was a reader before I read this book, but then I read the book, and then I think it kind of spearheaded me into my path of reading. It's a story about a young guy who thinks he knows what he wants and finds out that his life purpose is bigger than what it is, and he goes on this crazy journey to ultimately find out what he was looking for was inside of him already. The reason why that's was a big deal because I picked that book up, I think it was my third year, and I just got hurt. I hurt my foot, and I talked to the doctors, and they said I was supposed to be out 8 weeks. And up until that point in my career, I hadn't been injured in that way. And so, like everybody, I think, when you go through injuries and things of that nature, you have negative thoughts. And so I had this vision of, being hurt, and, I thought that my career wasn't going to go the way that that I envisioned on it going. I was really down at that point, but, reading that book really opened my eyes to focusing on being in the moment. And I think, too, I have this weird theory that when I get hurt, it means it's almost like God's way of slowing me down, like I'm putting off something that I'm supposed to be doing. So there was things that in my life that I felt I was supposed to be doing, supposed to be focused on, that I wasn't. And so I felt like that was a way to slow me down. So, and it really helped me in that moment. It really helped me in that time. And then, I think that was the first year I ended up being an All-Pro and Pro Bowl, and it really let me know that, a lot of times as human beings, we feel like we know the future, and we really don't. And so all we can do is control what we do in this moment and control our mindset in the moment, and the future always takes care of itself. And so that's when I really started to model my life after that. And so I say that to say I know that this season is not going the way that we hoped it, but all we can do in this moment is focus on the things that we can get better at now, and make those decisions to be better, play better, and the future will right itself. Questions?
Who put you onto that book?
That is a great question. I don't remember. I've heard about the book a lot. Whenever I asked somebody, they would always say their favorite book was. I had two different opinions. Everybody that I spoke to said that book was their favorite book, and then I had some people that said it wasn't that good. You really just had to read the last 3 pages, and you got the gist of the book. And so, in that moment, I felt like, I had time on my hands. I wasn't doing anything, so there was no reason for me to just read the last 3 pages, even though, I could kind of agree. But I think there was a lot that happened in that moment that, or throughout the book, that I think can be applied to life. So I don't remember who. I think it was just, asking people what their favorite book was, and felt like I had enough time on my hands to give it a shot.
You mentioned that it's particularly relevant now, given how the season has gone. What's the level of frustration in the locker room? Or is that the word you would even use to describe the locker room?
Obviously, there is some frustration because you have, a lot of guys that are, want to win, a lot of guys who are hungry to win, and the tradition here has been winning. And so, obviously, it's not going the way that we want it to go, but I think at the end of the day, everybody just wants to win and do their part to turn this thing around. And I think that's the gist of the locker room is what can we do right now to, start to chip away at this hole that we put ourselves in.
I mean, we saw you on the sidelines in the game after DK Metcalf got his penalty and was ejected, and you were talking to him. What was the message?
I just was talking to him, understanding that this moment is bigger than we need it to be. Like, just kind of locked back in. That's really all it is. I mean, I think I've been around a lot of passionate people like Sherm and Cam, and sometimes the camera caught it, sometimes it didn't, and this is a passionate gameplay with a lot of emotions, and sometimes you need a person to kind of bring you back in.
It looked like he said he didn't want to hear from you or whatever. Did you respond?
Yeah, I mean, I'm older than him, so he'll be okay. Sometimes you don't want to listen to people older than you, and then they say the right trigger word to get you to listen. So I know some words.
Does that concern you, his volatility this year? A lot of penalties, a lot of after-play stuff?
No, it doesn't concern me. I think, I think it's part of growth, part of, there's a lot of growth when you come in the first league. I think it depends. I mean, I remember having moments where, I was kind of angry and frustrated and things of that nature on the sidelines, but I wasn't at the level as he is, with, everything he had going on with the chase down, with the stuff that he does off the field, with his hair. So there's a lot of eyes on him. And so they're always going to be looking and seeing. So, I don't think what has happened is anything out of the norm. I think it's very similar to Sherm. After Sherm made that play, everybody's was looking and watching, and they created this narrative that Sherm was this angry player that none of his teammates liked. But if you spoke with every teammate and you spoke with every person, and I'm pretty sure you guys would share the same sentiment, he was an amazing person, a caring person, a thoughtful person. And so, that's kind of just a message to, understand you control your narrative.
Jordan Brooks seems to have been progressing the last, I don't know, half season, whatever, making a lot of plays. What have you seen out of him growth-wise?
I think it's just, the work that he's put in, from, taking extra time, study the playbook, watching film, things of that nature. I think, you're watching him being more comfortable in the defense, more comfortable knowing where you can take your shots, and it's been fun to watch. He's very fast, very instinctive, and, I think he's going to continue to grow and make a lot of plays.
I know we've asked for this before, but the passes to the running backs and things like that, what do you think you need to do to get better at defending?
We just have to see it. Sometimes they're catching us in coverages where they're running us off, and so we just have to have better eyes and react a little bit faster and understand that that's an area that they're going to find their spots. And so watching more film on it as a group and putting his fire out.
When it comes to those screen plays, Pete has talked about Jordan needing to be able to diagnose those a little bit. He said he's got to feel the pain a little bit more so that he's got the experience. But what do you have to see first to be able to sniff that out?
A lot of those plays comes with experience, comes with time, and just understanding that whenever you're in like a trip formation or if there's 3 people to the field, oftentimes that backside is where you'll get your screen, and so whoever's on that backside, which tends to be Jordan sometimes, or it can be myself, it could be Jamal, it can be anybody, depending on the coverage, needs to just understand that that's when they decide to do it, because you have all your players on this side, you have everybody running up, and so that whole side you kind of lose that whole side, and so whoever's on that side got to see, that play, and so I think it just comes with time and experience. KJ didn't come in as the screen master. He developed and turned into that.
It always seemed like he had a knack for it, too. I mean, there's some of that. KJ wasn't the screen master to start, but he was.
I think somebody randomly called him the screen master, and he just did it once. And he took pride in it and tried to see how many times he could diagnose the screen, and once turned it to 30,000. And so, any team that tried to run a screen on KJ was just not smart.
I mean, faced Lamar Jackson, a number of mobile quarterbacks. Is there anything about Kyler Murray that makes him truly unique or different than any other quarterback out there from a defensive player standpoint?
I think, there's a lot of similarities. I think is his quickness. I think you've seen the growth from, if you remember when he was first, when he first got into the league, when he was taking the runs and taking off, he wasn't really looking to get yards. If he can get yards, cool, but anytime he's seen a defender, he just ran out of bounds. And as you've seen the growth in, his confidence, now he's looking to finish the run sometimes or, make that cut and go up and field. So I think you just have to be mindful of that. Sometimes that's the tricky plays. Like, is he going to just run out of bounds or is he going to trick you and take the ball up? And so I think that's something that you have to be conscious of. And you just have to watch film and see how to use them. Not all quarterbacks are, used the same way. Like Cam Newton, they run power, with him. I don't think Arizona will ever do that. They might run draws in the red zone, get everybody, it's a draw in the red zone similar to a screen, get everybody back turn, and then have them take it, up the middle. And so you just have to be mindful of those moments where they try to look, for opportunities to give them the ball, whether it's, run the running back that way and pull two pullers that way. It makes you kind of slow foot, and that's what you don't want to have with a guy that fast.
How much more strain does it put on you as a linebacker when you're playing a quarterback like that on an offense that runs a lot of four wide sets and runs more spread concepts than most of the teams in the league? Does that alter things for you?
I don't know if strain is the right word. I think it makes you have to be more disciplined, and it makes you have to be on your communication and understanding. Like sometimes even on the read zone, you can play it right. You can have it to where the read is for him to give the ball to the running back, but he feels confident in himself that he can outrun that D lineman. And so a lot of that is just not tackling him to one person, like making sure that we all rally to him. And, if you watch the game that we played here last time, we did a really good job of making sure that there was a lot of people, on him, because I do feel like if he sees multiple people, he tends to just go down.
They've been without Hopkins for a couple games now. He may be back this week. Just how does he change that offense when he's in there?
He provides an amazing weapon. I think he gives him, you get him the ball on the outside, see what he can do with it, and obviously, when in doubt, a lot of quarterbacks, when they're playing with him, they just throw it up and know that, if it's two guys, three guys, there's a strong chance for him to come down with the ball. So you just got to be physical with them, understand they're going to get him the ball, and he's a guy that you have to just, slow down, and you understand that he's going to make some plays, but the more you minimize the great plays that he makes, the better the outcome is.
You got to know him very well. I know you're both Jordan guys.
Yeah, I got to know him. Is he Jordan? No, I just think his gloves were Jordan when he made that catch. Yeah, I got to know him. Me and him share the same wealth manager, so I've gotten to know him over time, and obviously we both did our deals. So, I've always admired what he's done on and off the field.
Record-wise, this is pretty unfamiliar territory for you guys. Just what's sort of the mood of the team right now and all that?
I think we're, understanding that, we don't have much more margin for error. We can't keep giving games away. We can't keep, shooting ourselves in the foot. And so I think it's, a lot of the messaging is getting out of our way. There were some penalties that we had that could have been avoided. And so, especially when you're playing, great teams like Green Bay or Arizona or whoever we have coming up, there's already enough against us. We can't get in our own ways.
What gives you hope you can turn this around?
Say it again.
What gives you hope you can turn this around?
I think the confidence in myself, my leadership, confidence in the guys in the building, their leadership, their focus, their want to, get it done. I think everybody in the building cares, and a lot of times that's really all you need. Sometimes is for people to care. Sometimes, I haven't been on too many losing programs outside of, unfortunately, Utah State. That if you get to a point where people stop caring, and that's when the lose start piling up. And so I don't see that. I see everybody's caring, everybody's locked in, everybody understands and has the belief that we can get this turned around. And again, like I said in the beginning, we have to focus on this moment and what we can do right now, because we don't know how to tell the future, but we could tell a lot in the moment.
How do you cool down after losses? Like right after the game, what do you do?
Oh, that's a great question. It depends. I like to listen to music. I like to be around family. I like to watch Dave Chappelle, Martin, Fresh Prince. Yeah, I have a lot of nieces and nephews and little people, and so I think when you're around those people, you understand that they don't care about none of that stuff, and those little people kind of remind me what life is about. So sometimes being around them, maybe some pizza.
So you don't focus on the game. You go away from the game. Don't watch anything. Don't talk about it at all. Just get away from it.
I always watch the film after the game. So I try to watch the film within that time of having whatever emotion that I have after the game. And then after I watch the film, I try to get away from it for a second. Good, bad, and different, you know what I mean? Whether I had a good game, whether I had a bad game, whether I had good plays, bad plays. You understand that you play this game long enough, you're going to have games where you walk away and you feel really, really good, and you're going to have games where you left some plays out there. Maybe you didn't perform your best, and you try to look at the overall picture versus, what's going on at that point, knowing that, it can be changed.
When you're watching the film and seeing stuff and tendencies during the week or middle of the night, whenever, how does that stuff get relayed to your teammates and stuff, like tendencies you're seeing? Is that just in team meetings? Do you text them?
Yeah, team meetings, conversations. Sometimes I watch film with Jamal and Diggs, and sometimes I'm watching film with Jordan. Sometimes I'm watching film with Nort. And so, every conversation is different. Every, viewpoint is different. And so you're trying to, with each conversation, you're trying to find, one or two plays where we can all be on the same play, and maybe that'd be a play where you can get a pick, sack, something happens. So I think the conversation is throughout the week. Sometimes Diggs texts me, sometimes Jamal does, Jordan. Like, we all text each other, depending on the scheme of the week and things of that nature. But the conversation is typically, talked about in the building through the week, and obviously film outside of the building, like when we're not in meetings.
What stands out about the way Quandre sees the game?
I think the uniqueness is he started off as a nickel, and so he has a really, really good understanding of splits because he played that position so much. And so when he moved to safety, he's able to help some of the younger nickels out and even some of the corners out, and kind of help them explain, splits and what you get from certain splits. And then he's just, he's really aggressive. I love the way he comes down and, from the post and fills the alley. And so that's definitely a uniqueness for sure, the way he wants to come in and hit. There's not many safeties that like to do that like that.
Do you ever get anxious before games, or have you ever gotten anxious before games?
I don't know if anxious is the word. I don't know what the word is. I don't know. I really just zone out before the games. Obviously, I don't want to say worry. Maybe anxious is the word. I think you just, you play the game in your head, and you have a vision of how you want the game to go. And as you get closer and closer to the game, I kind of throw the vision out and, kind of focus in and, try to recreate whatever I had going on in my head. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But more times than not, I'm more so worried about making sure that I can relay whatever's going in my head to the other guys.
For the 2 Super Bowls, what do you remember feeling before the games?
Before the first Super Bowl, honestly, I wasn't really nervous about the game. I was more so nervous about that moment where all the flashes happened. Because I don't know, it was weird. I always watched it on TV, and I was wondering if I would pay more attention to that than the actual game. But yeah, the kickoff. Because you dream of being in the game in that moment and just seeing all the flashes. So I was kind of paying attention to that too long, and then I snapped back. And and then after that, the second Super Bowl, it was in Arizona. So we had played in that stadium so many times up to that point, so it wasn't really like a big deal.
Do guys still ask you what that was like younger guys who haven't played in a big game?
Not really, not really. They more so ask about how it is playing certain players, or ask about how to stay in this league for a long time. I think that's the majority of the conversation.
Last thing, what stands out about Trey Brown and the way he recognizes routes for a rookie?
I think the biggest thing is the way that he studies the game. I think that's what gives him his confidence. And then he plays with no fear. When he sees something, he goes. And that was something that you noticed, when he first got here. He wasn't afraid to take a chance. And sometimes, when you have a young guy or rookie come in, they want to do right, and they want to be like the playbook so bad that it almost makes them scared to be instinctive. And so that was the first thing I noticed when he got here. He wasn't afraid to be instinctive, and he knew how to talk ball. Like some people, you can't really have a conversation with him because they may not understand splits. They may not understand the defense that well, but he caught everything on pretty fast and just instinctively, he knew how to talk ball.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Not being afraid to take a chance. At what point did you get to that spot in your career? Was it early or was it?
Maybe kind of in the last couple of weeks, just kind of getting comfortable, And what I mean by that is just knowing every call and knowing, what offenses, what they like to attack, and our defenses, and finding spots where I can make my plays and finding spots where I can be effective, impactful, and so I think that's really what it's been for me at the linebacker position.
That stop that you had early in the game on Sunday, I think was a third down stop, and you just drilled it. How much confidence does that give you when you make a play like that early in the game to keep taking those chances and making plays?
Yeah, it gets you loose early. That was kind of my thing all week, that I wanted to get out to a fast start, And I think, any player can attest to it. When you get off to a fast start, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game. You feel loose and you feel confident, for the rest of the game. And so it worked out for me. Just want to keep rolling.
Defense as a whole, how much more comfortable do you guys feel out there together these past 3-4 games than maybe early in the season?
I feel good, Obviously, we want to get more dubs in the win column. But I think we keep playing the way that we are, and we take it a step further, get more turnovers, score on defense maybe. We'll be right where we want to be. But it's good to see that, the defense has, been progressing each and every week. And so that's what we want to do, just stay consistent and keep playing good ball.
How do you assess the way your second season is going? What do you feel like you're doing well? What do you want to do better?
I think I'm doing a lot of things well as far as, just in the pass game and the run game as well. For me personally, I just want to get better at, obviously, the screen game. Teams are trying to attack us with screens all day. That's all they got. We're staying on top. And so just have better eyes for that. And then, obviously, get in the backfield a little bit more. All types of things, man.
How have you improved in that part of the game? Just in terms, we saw the play, the deep shot Aaron took where you were way downfield in coverage. Just how have you improved in that?
Yeah, it's just understanding the will position. The will is majority of the weak hooker. Whenever we're playing any type of three, and teams like to get the special route on the weak hookers, whether that's me or a safety. It just depends, and so understanding how they like to attack you, you're on alert for it, and so I think just me being alert for it, and let the God-given ability take over and make the play.
Chances to show your speed when they, a quarterback might think, oh, linebacker and coverage, I'm gonna go after them, but do you like showing that you can run with those guys?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't panic. You know, feel like I can run with anybody, and so anytime I see it over, I'm running full speed. I'm there.
From Sunday, what's the lesson learned there in terms of how to play it?
Yeah, it's just about having eyes for it. Kind of watching running backs' mannerisms. Different teams, different running backs, they kind of, do different things. And so anytime you see the running back and the center going to the same side, that's a big indicator for a screen. And, hand gestures, all types of things that they do to let you know, tendencies to let you know that it's a screen coming. So that's what I mean, just being more alert for those type of things and get there and make the play.
Is
The
that
advice
something?
you got from KJ, when you played alongside KJ last year on diagnosing those screens?
Yeah, KJ the screen master. And so, I'm trying to get there, might give him a call this week and maybe he can give some tips. But KJ was a screen master for sure at his time here. And so, they've given us a screen cut up tape. I'm going to study that all week. Maybe even go back and watch some of the screens that KJ had at his time here and just try to pick up on what he picked up on and get better in that area of my game.
Is that something you had to do a whole lot of at Texas Tech at all, or defending screens, or was it kind of a new thing in the NFL? I mean, is it?
Not at all, honestly. Not in the position that I was in. Didn't see a lot of screens.
Bobby Wagner got to 100 tackles for his 10th straight season. Just what do you make of that accomplishment?
Yeah, I told him, man, that's crazy, to go 10 years straight and then 100 tackles for 10 years. It just screams consistency and, a reason why he's the best. And so I just look at him like, man, yeah, that's where I want to be. And so it gives me motivation to keep grinding and keep doing the best that I can to be the best version of me.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.